I'm not here to speak against the Muslims, but I want you to be aware of this fundamental problem, at least in your subconscious. You need to have this somewhere, that we have an existential threat. And now you see it in reality, how they were able to just turn the narrative against Israel in no time. And this is why from the beginning of the war, I said, Muslims, you have to back off.
Do you think that the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas is going to last? What is the real core of what causes this friction in the Middle East? Take a look at this clip over here from Mosab Hassan Yousef. He talks about what the ideological idea is in radical Islam. So let's watch this clip over here together, then we'll talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
From the early beginning of the war and prior to the war, I came to realize that the ideological dimension of this war cannot be ignored. And I got canceled many, many years ago, some 15 years ago, when I started criticizing and questioning the scripture in Islam that encourages Muslims to harm and kill Jewish people. And I think the Jewish people are a very peaceful nation that does not look to harm the Muslims. But at least I think that we have the right, you have the right to question and say, what's going on here? Why the scripture is inciting against the Jewish people, and what the world is doing about it. What other major religions is doing about it. And this is why I changed my strategy, that this is not only about Palestine. Palestine is non-existential. It's just a device that the Muslims use as a weapon against Israel and as a weapon against the Jewish people. Fundamentally, Muslims think that Allah hates the Jewish people. And how can they love the Jewish people if their God that they bow 20 times a day hates the Jewish people? So I am not here to speak against the Muslims, but I want you to be aware of this fundamental problem, at least in your subconscious. You need to have this somewhere, that we have an existential threat. And now you see it in reality, how they were able to just turn the narrative against Israel in no time. And this is why from the beginning of the war, I said, Muslims, you have to back off. This is not acceptable to take the side of a terrorist group that just committed a genocide, a capital crime, unforgivable crime, by the name of resistance and by the name of occupation, colonialism, etc. Not acceptable. And now we have hundreds of millions of Muslims and Arabs spreading propaganda. And as you see, when people see it thousands of times per day, they start believing in it. It becomes real.
Right. This is why the idea of a two-state solution is so untenable. Like, you would think from a Western vantage point, oh, well, you want this land, so let's just divide the land up and everyone lives happily ever after and can sail off into the sunset. What the issue is, what the main issue is over here, is that there's a deep ideological hatred by certain radical factions in Islam that wants the destruction of Israel, the Jewish people worldwide, and not just that, the Western world as a whole. Hamas, which takes this radical view, is not going to change their ways. Hezbollah and all of the other groups and factions out there are not of Western mindset. We can't just sit at the table, make a drawing, make a nice even keel down the middle sort of thing, and everyone lives happily ever after. This is an ideological war. And the ideological war is not Jews against Muslims or Jews against Arabs, right? This is the Jews want no part in this at all. They want to just live in peace in Israel and do their thing. They have no expansion ideas. They don't want to make the entire Middle East Jewish. They don't want to make North Africa Jewish. They don't want to embed themselves in countries. They're a very small population. There's only between 14 and 16 million Jews in the entire world, and there's no aspirations for the expansion of that. That's not part of our ideology. It's not part of our worldview, not part of our religion. We don't go out and seek converts to our faith. And so this is the core of why there is such an issue. You cannot make a peace agreement with someone that wants to kill you. That should be something abundantly obvious, but unfortunately, it's not so obvious to the Western mindset. Western mindset, one of the many downsides is that people think that everyone in the world thinks like us. Everyone, maybe they have different cultural norms, different things and customs that they do, but everyone at the end of the day wants the same things we want, does the same things we do, aspires for the same things we aspire to. And so when you go with that mindset, you're going to keep hitting failure after failure after failure, because the only thing that these more radical factions understand is strength. That's it. That's the only thing. And that's why I think this particular deal that's on the table, and it's not a perfect deal by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that is outside the norm, outside the box from what is usually suggested by all of the intellectuals usually involved that keep hitting wall after wall after wall, for speaking decades about having a two-state solution. This idea of not putting two-state solution as like the end-all be-all goal, it's something that it's down the road. If you decide to change your ways, it could possibly be on the table, but right now it's not an option. And taking that out and making the picture much more consistent with reality is an effective tool to maybe get to a different stage, another stage, a stage forward from where we've been for so long. And so kudos for President Trump for leading the way amongst the Arab world as well. A lot of Arab nations have agreed onto this deal. The main focus should always be that everyone in that region should be able to live in peace together. That really should be the end goal. And if that is the end goal, and it doesn't matter if it's achieved through an official Palestinian state, or whether there's some other mechanism that's at play that can help facilitate the peace. Main thing, everyone should live in peace, be safe, and we will keep you apprised of everything as it comes up. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.